Oh, hello, hello, hello from Permission to Love Again from Sevilla. I love. Welcome. I'm going to talk to you about the pain that you're in, and really what that might be indicating or meaning right now for you. There is always a purpose in everything that comes into our lives, and a lot of people really struggle with that because they feel truly victimized. And if horrible things have happened to you, then it's not unusual or lacking in normalcy to feel like a victim, because it can just feel like that. I know I've been there. I mean, I've by the age of 42, I'd lost an incredible amount of people and had to rebuild my life over and over again. It can be very painful. And when you get into a dark place, you start to wonder, how am I ever going to get out of this? And I have talked to so many people in my 20 years of clinical experience and working as a professional therapist and as a transformational life coach and all my intuitive spiritual work with people. I hear time and time again, I could not have imagined myself being here right now. If you have asked me 5 years ago, 3 years ago, that I'd be in this place of resolution now, I would never have believed it. I was in such a dark place. People will tell you this. And you may actually have your own story to tell about that, even though you're in a different dark or challenging place right now. You may have a different story. But one thing that we learn from those ridiculously bad experiences is that we are resilient. We are powerful beyond measure. We were created to bear and endure. Humanity is this incredible, powerful force of endurance, of the inspiration to continue to live and thrive despite all the barriers. Our history bears witness to that. We're still growing in our population. Despite all of our wars, all of our pain, all of our self-inflicted wounds worldwide, we continue to grow. How is that? Because each and every one of you is a dewdrop of the same divine force as everyone else. And so that means that the person that you look at that may be your enemy or your friend really are, now think about it, your other selves. If you're all from the same source, divinely speaking, then we're all a reflection of one another, of the depths of our depravity, of the heights of our nobility. And so we each have a choice every step of the way, regardless of what you've been through or where you've been brought up or how you've been brought up. We have a choice. And as a spiritual intuitive and as a developing medium, one of the things I know that I hear from spirit, that I hear other mediums talk about from spirit, is that when we pass from this life, when we get to the next world, there's always this understanding of the life that we live, this understanding of the opportunities that we took advantage of and the ones that we missed. Now, not the ones that we missed in terms of, you screwed up and now you're in hell. No. That's not what I'm saying. But that the soul has an understanding of the lessons that were presented to us and the opportunities that were presented to us that either we took advantage of or we did not. So it's not a matter of you were good or bad, but did you get all that you could when you were in it? And so if you're in pain or in suffering, or you're struggling with some huge barrier in your life, and it may very well be your grief if you're in this group, or some other thing, it might be people outside of you. How you approach those barriers are going to make all the difference in the progress that your soul makes in this lifetime and in the future days to come immediately ahead of you. It's so important that whatever barrier is standing in front of you right now, that you're able to take that barrier one step at a time. I teach women how to do that. I offer private coaching around that. If you're interested, you let me know. But every step that you take is a very important building block to the next one that comes. Now, you may say, yeah, duh, I know that. But if you're sitting in the difficulty and making no progress, then you're not listening to your own wisdom. And so that's what I'm here for, to help remind you of what you know so you can take action on it, rather than sitting in it, rather than dwelling on it, rather than living in your past that you cannot change, that you cannot bring back, that you can never recreate. As painful as that may be, it's a truth. And the core of all suffering, says some ancient Eastern wisdoms, is wishing things were different than they are. So what is it, may I ask you, that you're wishing is different than it is right now? Now, that's not to say, oh, I can't pay my bills. I wish I could. Okay? But are you dwelling on the wish? Are you dwelling on the misery of not having something that doesn't exist right now? And what steps are you taking towards creating that which you desire? Are you sitting in your room quiet and sad and lonely and not reaching out to anyone else? Not allowing yourself to create bonds or friendships, maybe even date if that's what you want to do? If you're sitting in the fear, then you're sitting in a state of wishing things were different than they are. One of my lifelong best friends I was very deeply bonded to, passed away this summer. And he was a spiritual soulmate. And we did a lot of spiritual teaching together and very close. And now he's on the other side. And he came through today when I was working with a medium in my spiritual medium development group. He came through and talked to me. And through the medium, he expressed his regret of missed opportunities. Things that he missed in this life. And guess what he said? He missed out because of fear. Do you hear that? He missed out on the life he was given because of fear. This is what the medium interpreted from what he had given her. He missed out on the life he was given because of fear. He denied himself his talents, his skills, his abilities. He hid because he was afraid to share them. He didn't think he was good enough. Now he's on the other side. He's coming back and telling me this through a medium. But you are still here. You still have your opportunity. You still have your chance. Now, of course, I do truly believe he's sitting in a state of grace and love and forgiveness, and he's continuing to grow and live his life on the other side. But in reflection of a life lived here in this earthly plane, this is what he expressed to me. I missed out because of fear. I didn't think I was good enough. So what are you doing with the time that you have right now? So if you feel like you're not good enough, and I have this friend who's on the other side looking back and going, I didn't know how good I was. I should have known how good I was. I was so worthy. I was so valuable. I didn't know. So how can you learn in this lifetime how valuable you are so you don't have to go to the other side to die to realize it? There's a great Eastern wisdom that says, live your life as if you are dying. So that means to sit in the wisdom right now before you have to die, to know that everything you're doing is important. that all of the talents, all of the skills, all of the abilities that you were inherently born with matter to the world, that there's a purpose for you here to do, no matter what you've been through, no matter how much loss you've had, no matter how broken into your heart is, no matter what's happening with your body right now, how it's changed, how it doesn't function in the way it used to, what may be ahead of you in terms of your health, whether you can correct it or whether you can't. To know that you are this divine being with this beautiful, incredible power, and that there are things you can affect in this lifetime. You can make change, not only for yourself, but for other people. Because when you set yourself up to do that which you were born to do, no matter how insignificant it might seem to you, it's not. And I have spirits on the other side telling me so. Coming back and bearing witness. My God, I mattered. I was so talented. I was so beautiful, and I didn't live it when I had the opportunity. Look yourself in the mirror and hear the voice in the head that says, you're ugly, you're fat, you're not talented, you've had too many things go wrong, you've had too much abuse in your life, you don't have the money, you don't have the right job. I want you to listen to all that. I want you to hear it. I want you to hear that voice in your head. And then I want you to realize one thing. And I want you to listen very closely. You are not the voice in your head. Eckhart Tolle says, then who are you? Ladies, you are the one who sees that. Do you understand what I'm saying? If you can observe a thought, then who is it that's observing the thought? Who is it? If you're not the thought, then you know you must be the observer. And who is the observer? That is the eternal divine self. That is that which never dies. That is that which is on the other side, like my friend coming back and speaking to me through a medium saying, I have regret because I didn't live all that I could be. I didn't know how beautiful and talented I was. I was afraid. I lived my life in fear. Fear is the one thing that stands between you and all of your greatness. And your greatness may be making the best freaking blueberry muffins on the planet and giving them to the homeless and making people happy. Or you may be running a company. One of the best life after death stories that has been on records is that a woman, she died for about 10 minutes. And when she went through this near-death experience and that afterlife experience, what she learned was that it didn't matter who she was. She could have been the president of a country. It would not have changed the value of her life one iota. It wasn't what she did in terms of the status of this world. It was the kindness and love that she showed. And so the one things the angels sang about in reviewing her life in this 10-minute, earthly 10 minutes, for her it seemed like an eternity, in this earthly death, was that her greatest accomplishment was bringing a glass of water to a boy in a wheelchair in the middle of a baseball field on a hot day. The angels were singing her praises. This was it. So hear this. Your intention, your purpose, in whatever it is what matters, because that's the energy that's manifested in you that needs to express itself. And so if you feel yourself drawn in a certain direction, if you're struggling and if you're feeling restless and you're like, what is next for me? I don't know. Identify the emotional content of your desire. You don't have to name it. You don't have to label and say, this is exactly what it is, and this is exactly where I'm going. Baloney. You don't need all that. All you need is the desire. Name the desire. So when I started doing what I'm doing right here, right now I've been a clinician for over 20 years, but I knew I wanted to reach more people. I want to reach women, is what I said. I want to reach people all over the world. I want to be able to connect with not just one person, but many people. I want to teach groups. I want to travel. And as soon as I verbalized that, as soon as I understood that's what I want, now take note. I didn't say, I want this job and I want to go to this place and I want to do this thing. Would have been okay if I had done that, but that's not what I did. I just expressed the desire of the big picture, and I allowed the universe then to open up and to create opportunity for me. And one opportunity after another came and opened the doorway, and I'm here right now talking to you. Now, if I'd asked myself a few years ago, would you be, could you see yourself doing this? I would have said, I don't know. No, what? But here I am, and I'm starting my YouTube channel. Things are growing. And so what I want you to hear is that you have a purpose. And so with all the pain that you've been through, all the loss that you've been through, the breakups you've been through, the divorce you've been through, the abandonment that you've had, know that there is purpose in this pain, and that you can use this to renovate your life and start a new chapter for yourself. This is possible. It's not impossible. You have to know that you're still here for a reason. If you didn't have purpose, you'd be gone. You'd be gone. And you're not. You're here. And this is a very transformative time in history for humanity. And so there's a great power in everything that you do. And I don't care how small it is, but it's vital that you do it. Vital. I had a dream one night when I went to bed, and I was deeply, deeply distraught. And I said to God, the universe, the angels, whoever would listen, I feel so insignificant. This was years ago. How can I possibly matter? The universe is continually expanding, worlds upon worlds upon worlds. Ask the physicists. They'll tell you. How could I possibly matter? I'm less than an infinitesimal speck of dust. And so that night when I went to sleep, and I had this powerful visitation from a spirit guide, from an angel, I don't know, but it was a powerful voice, and it said to me in very clear language, like it was so loud, it was booming in my ear, and it said, we are each the drops of one ocean. And if each and every other drop were not of equal value to every other drop, then the ocean would not exist. The ocean would not exist. Do you hear that? You are of equal value to every other drop. And that message I had from that spirit guide helped me on this path that I'm on right now. Being able to reach you here to tell you that, how important you are, because we're all one piece of the whole. And the whole has to express itself. It's like the bees. Each bee has to do its job. Except the bee doesn't have a choice because they're part of the animal kingdom, but you do. You've been given free will. And so now you have the opportunity. What will I choose? What will you choose today? Lay that out before yourself. And know that you are mighty, and that you are powerful, and that you have purpose in your presence on this earth right here, in this moment now. Meditate on that. From Sevilla, I love. Have a good evening.